mystical creatures in the night, devil worshippers, promiscuous women and men, thirsty of blood, ugly and always. This has been the image of witches for such a long time in popular mainstream culture. And even nowadays, the stigma of witches being devil worshippers is spread out throughout the world. But one thing is undeniable about witches. Not only they have been maybe scaring people throughout the world, but with their charm, they have been fascinating the world for thousands of ages. Hello you guys, my name is Naya and I'm a natural born witch and psychic. And on this channel, I like to present topics as tarot, spirituality, and witches and witchcraft in order to bring awareness on the wonderful craft that witchcraft is. I was born in Italy through a bloodline of witches from my mother in Sardinia. And I have been into the craft and initiated by the craft by other witches since I was born. And I also learned tarot. And even though the witchcraft that I practice today varies a little bit from the traditional Italian witchcraft, I want you guys to know whether or not you are a witch too, and what are the 10 signs that will indicate if you are a witch. Before I get started, subscribe on this channel, join my membership to have more spell and witches video. And without further ado, let's get started to understand whether or not you are a witch too. Before I get started with the 10 signs that you are definitely a natural born witch, I want to talk about the etymology of the word witch, or actually strega in my own language. Well, the word strega in Italian is derived from the ancient Greek word strix, which means a very black bird with a very high-pitched tone that used to fly at night and suck the blood from goats. And it is in fact from this terminology that the evil connotation of witches stems from. In fact, for the ancient times and according to Christianity, back in those days, witches were evil creatures that were only there to cast evil spells and curses. And in fact, even stregoneria itself, sometimes nowadays, it is perceived as a form of black magic. But when we move the word from witch, that stems from witchet, and also exit in German, and I apologize if I don't pronounce the word correctly, I am not British and neither German, the terminology completely changes. In fact, this terminology for the ancient German meant the wise one of the tribe. And it is from this terminology that the real term and the real meaning of witches and wicca stems from. In fact, in English, we see a difference between sorcery, which is considered a little bit as black magic, and witchcraft, which is just the use of magical practices in rituals with herbs and crystals. So you might wonder, witches, are they bad or are they good at the end of the day? Well, the reality of the story is that witches are human beings. Sure, perhaps they are really mystical and special human beings because they can work with the laws of nature and the laws of the universe. But witches, as any other human beings, they hold free will. And like Gerald Gardner used to say, do what thou will as long as it harms none. So witchcraft is simply a tool that can be used for good things or bad things. And the way you're gonna use witchcraft just depends on your moral compass. But now that we have introduced a little bit this topic, let's talk about the 10 signs that will tell you if you're definitely a natural born witch. Sign number 1. Since a young age, you always loved to move barefoot throughout nature or even your own house. You always wanted to connect to the trees and nature in general. And perhaps you were playing little games alone in the forest or in the park or whatever you could to cast some hair spell, which means that you were trying to control the movement of the wind. You were trying to connect with everything that is in nature. If you're finding yourself resonating with this statement, that is the first sign that you're a natural born witch. Why? Because witches, like I said before, they are natural when it comes down to understanding intuitively the work of nature. Not only they are environmentalists and they care so much about nature in and of itself, but they feel connected to the Mother Earth. In fact, for many witches, there are two aspects in this universe. One is the divine masculine aspect and the other is the divine feminine aspect. And this aspect of femininity is represented throughout our Mother Gaia. In fact, it is considered the womb of creation, our mother that hosts not only creation itself, but gives us life. Witches do understand that everything has energy and holds information. And moreover, not only they can work with this information and with this energy, but they respect it, knowing that everything holds a soul, an eternal soul that is connected to the source of creation. And the eternal dance between the femininity and masculinity that is presented in the universe as well, in our microcosm within ourselves and in nature, represents the wonderful tool that is witchcraft, and represents all that witches are. Witches are aware beings. They are aware of their surroundings. Even, for example, if you were as a child or later on in your years aware of cutting even a leaf from a tree, taking a flower from the ground, and maybe some of you were asking permission to do that, that is a strong sign that you are a natural born witch. You can feel and communicate naturally with herbs and plants and with the trees and the rock. You are connected to crystals, and regardless of what type of witch you are, you just feel this interconnection with all things. Mind you, if you're interested to understand at the end of this video what type of witch you are, I have a dedicated video about it that I suggest you guys to watch it. Now, let's go to sign number 2 that will definitely tell you that you are a natural born witch. Sign number 2 is that you always have been fascinated with the deep side of things. You just cannot be shallow, not even if they oblige you to do so. And why is that? Because for the most part, like we were saying before, witches are connected to all things, and they are aware beings. They know, even intuitionally, that they are more than meets the eye. They are an infinite being of awareness connected to existence. When they are looking at people, for instance, like let's say you have met a friend or a new acquaintances, you watch them, but you don't really care about the way they dress. You don't really care about not even what they're saying in and of itself or small talks. What you care and what you're truly careful of seeing is their energy and what goes beyond their eyes. You're always focused on the eyes because you feel that the eyes are the mirror to the soul, and you are a person that always goes deep into everything. Sometimes, sure, you might get a headache out of all this deepness, but that is just who you are, a very sensitive being. Sign number 3, which is so connected to the other sign. You are not afraid of darkness and shadows. Actually, you're one of this person that even though sometimes you might get scared here and there, you are courageous and bold in nature. And you know that even in darkness, there can be the greatest light, because again, it stems from being aware of your surrounding and your internal world. Because you're not afraid of darkness, challenges, and shadows, you'll find opportunities even in the darkest time. And this is such a huge quality, because by virtue of not being so afraid of standing up against the shadows, or actually finding the light in the shadows, you are able to manipulate energy and being a research of consciousness. Sign number 4. Since you're so aware and are not afraid of the dark side of things and neither the light side of things, even if for most of the time you prefer to stay alone in the forest casting your own spells or simply meditating near a tree, well, actually, for some odd reason, you're constantly surrounded by people. That is because you're very sensitive and very compassionate. Like I said, all the signs are connected. People are naturally drawn to you. They want to get to know you. And when you enter a room, people notice you straight away. Even perhaps if you're dressed really simple and you just don't care about looks, people notice you nevertheless. That is because of your energy and your natural light. And also, you could be a very good counselor for people or a natural born healer. In fact, people come to you with their own problems, always asking for advice. And as a witch, you probably struggle to be an empath or to draw some healthy boundaries. But that is why we study the craft. We study to become better and more in tune with the energy. And you understand that even though we are one, we are diverse in our variety. And our variety indeed creates our oneness. You make a perfect friend, a perfect counselor, and a perfect healer. Sign number 5. For some other odd reason, you seem very in tune also with the creatures of this earth and the animals. Maybe you always attract a very specific animal. And you always have wondered whether or not spirit animals do really exist. You just know intuitionally the spirit animal exists, and perhaps you constantly attract a particular one. And maybe for the majority of you guys, you feel actually that talking with animals, it's far easier than talking with humans sometimes. You just feel so connected with them, and therefore you constantly want to save them, surround by them. You rescue dogs or cats in shelters. You might be attracted even to exotic animals such as the eagle or the snake or the monkey. You just feel that those animals are so pure inside, and working with them not only will protect you, but will enhance your powers. And if you are a natural born witch, because about animals there is a great discussion in the witch community. Some people say that they use them from animal sacrifices. I want to tell you guys that I don't stand for this sort of witchcraft. I feel is very cruel and very unnecessary. And actually using blood of any kind, unless probably it's your own, it could be considered as red to black magic. And that is not what I like to practice. I want to repeat the law of the red, the last sentence that Gerald Gardner has wrote in his book of Shadow. Know what thou will as long as it harms none. And that includes animals. Maybe you're vegetarian, maybe you're vegan. Just the fact of hurting another being on this planet, including the plants, like I was saying before, makes you cringe. Well, that is for sure if you're resonating with the sign that you are a natural born witch. Sign number 6. You are so eager to learn. Have you ever found yourself in a library, especially when you were a kid, and feeling overwhelmed by the amount of books that were there in that library, and you just felt so overwhelmed to the point where you were asking your parents or the people around you, how will I ever read all of these books? If that is you, that is a sign that you are a natural born witch. In fact, witches, mother or none, they feel that they don't know it all, and they feel that life itself is a constant expanding experience, and they are eager to know more and more and more. Now, you could be fascinated also by learning deep occult knowledge and wisdom from ancient times, such as ancient Egyptian wisdom, ancient Egyptian practices, the Kabbalah, Judaism. You fall in love with each and every religion, and even though some of these religions do condemn witchcraft, you just don't feel in that way. You feel the truth is held by every religion. You are respectful of every cult, and you just want to be free to practice yours, because for you, the knowledge of humanity is the knowledge of your soul. And because you're in constant search for the meaning of life and the truth behind things through this knowledge, sometimes it's hard even for yourself to figure yourself out. Not even mention other people figuring you out. You are mysterious in nature, and this is due to the fact that you feel that the research for knowledge, and therefore also of yourself, is transcendental. You are connected to any form of spirituality, but in a very independent way. For you, it's very important when people are explaining you something, it comes from a book or it comes from a certified source, because otherwise, as a natural born witch, you find it very difficult to believe in. You just will dive deeper and deeper and deeper into any occult books or any book in general. As long as you gather knowledge, you are happy, and you're also happy to share it with other people. Even though this might not resonate with every witches out there, some witches are more secretive, and that will depend on this other sign. Sign number 7. Why you are so secretive about your knowledge? Well, first of all, sign number 7 is very important. Have you ever felt that you had premonition in your dreams? Or perhaps you have natural psychic abilities? Or you're simply very, very sensitive, like we were saying before, to the energies? And perhaps subconsciously you kind of remember even your past lives? Gerald Gardner used to say, witches are firm believers in reincarnation, and once a witch, forever will be a witch. Therefore, if you believe in all of this and is resonating with you, it goes without saying that you have witnessed the witch hunt back in ancient times. You know what it is to be persecuted because you also have been a witch in a past life. Therefore, sometimes even though you are eager to share the craft and you're eager to share your knowledge, you get scared of your own gifts and you get scared about sharing this knowledge with others. I'm gonna tell you my story for a second, so maybe you can relate. Well, when I was a child, I was obsessed to keep the knowledge and everything that I knew about the craft, including tarot, to myself. I wasn't speaking with anybody in school, not even my dad. I was only speaking about witchcraft to my mother that taught me so and to my grandmothers. Now, obviously, I couldn't lie forever and I tried to mold myself to pretend to be something that I was not. And even at the beginning of this channel, even though I was introducing ancient Egyptian knowledge, I struggled so much to tell people that I believed in spirituality and I believed in tarot. Actually, it was a friend of mine that pushed me to do this YouTube channel because for me, keeping the knowledge secret was everything. I was scared of my premonition. I was scared of what I was dreaming because if you guys are natural born witches and are resonating with point 7, you know how difficult it is to see the future. People think that see the futures is all glitters or gold, but it's not like that. Sometimes you do see very heavy things, you wish you can block them, and they just come true. There's nothing you can do about that. There is destiny and karma at play in this universe, and sometimes we can change our future depending on the choices that we made in the present moment. I have a whole video about this called Pick a Card, Your Future. But even though you understand this, you can get scared, especially when very young, about this premonition coming true or this huge sensitivity. What do I mean by huge sensitivity in this sign number 7? Well, maybe since you were a kid, you were going at school and you were feeling so drained by other people, not necessarily because they were bad with you, but you could just pick up on everything and everybody around you, and then you were just going to bed to take a rest or take a nap, and there you go, you were having a premonitory dream, a premonition. That can be very exhausting, and that could stem from your past lives, and like I said, from the fear, the subconscious fear of persecution, which is also due to the fact that you maybe are afraid, like I was saying before, to share your knowledge or simply your beliefs. And this is contradictory to your nature because in actuality, you are a firm believer, like we were saying before, that everybody should practice their own sense of spirituality, and actually beliefs in spirituality or witchcraft in and of itself are something very intimate, and nobody should actually convert anybody to nothing. But you know, in this world, not a lot of people think like you. And that's why sometimes you are afraid to share. But at some point, like I learned myself, you learn to free yourself. Maybe you go through the phases of the mother, the maiden, and the crone. Whatever phase you might be in life, you do understand that sharing is to bring awareness. And it is to connect with like-minded soul like you. So if you are like me, don't be afraid to share your beliefs. And don't be afraid of this wonderful gift that have been given to you by the universe and through past lives. You can heal others with this gift. You can help yourself and others in all possible way. And witches, even though they have been hunted for a period of time, in actuality, they have been existent since the beginning of this earth. They are either men or women, by the way. Gardner was a witch and he was a man. They are not identified as a gender as many will think. They got searched by so many people throughout the ages to get healed or to get counseling and advices. And there's nothing to be afraid of that. I hope that through my channel I can bring some awareness on the fact that magic or witchcraft is not always related or necessarily related to devil worshipper. We believe in angels and spirit guides and spirit animals, and we just want to grow and expand and evolve this existing reality. This is sign number 7 that you're definitely a witch. Sign number 8 that you are definitely a natural born witch. Children are attracted to you. What? You might say children are attracted to witches? Well, let's be realistic, especially nowadays, witches are not necessarily with black hair and dressing black. I guess I am, but not all of them are. And actually, it's more a vibration that they are emanating. And children retaining, most of them, natural intuition and natural psychic ability. They can understand who you are immediately. They feel safe and they trust you intuitionally. They love the fact that you're so connected to the 12th house, the house of either imagination and spirit in astrology. You are just a safe space to be around because you care about nature, you care about the environment, and you deeply care about future generation. And you are a bit of an inner child as well, because whoever believes in magic never stopped to be a child. Sign number 9. Sign number 9 will tell you if you are a natural born witch, you are rebellious. There is nothing that can tame you down. You are a wild spirit. You are untamable. And like I was saying before, if somebody talks to you about God or spirit or whatever other belief system without giving you sources, or it simply doesn't resonate with you, you simply run. You just cannot stand not to speak your truth. And because of this rebellion nature, sometimes you get into trouble with people because obviously you get misunderstood a lot, and it goes back to point number 7 of feeling ashamed of your own belief or of your own nature. With point number 9, you have to be proud of your own uniqueness. You have to be proud that you are the voice that stood up in the crowd for other people to see. You are a natural born leader, and maybe you could be the leader of your coven. Maybe you're going to find, like I was saying before, like-minded souls, and you are going to work with other people. Or perhaps you're more of a solitary witch. It doesn't matter where you belong or what tradition of witchcraft you belong. You know how to speak for yourself when you're ready. You know how to think independently. And because you're so surrounded by wisdom and learning new knowledge, thinking independently is so important for you. In sign number 9 and also sign number 7, I want to add that you're deeply fascinated with tarot and the universe, the laws of the universe, and astrology. As a witch myself, I always kind of skipped astrology because again, I'm an untamable spirit and I don't like to follow the mainstream. So even if you're into astrology or tarot, you want to do it your own way and you want to learn from the ancient tradition and when tarot comes from. If you're resonating with this, by the way, I have an e-course down below that will teach you my own view about tarot and how to become a psychic yourself in case you're still practicing. But the internet is so full nowadays of information. You just want to find your own voice, your own truth, and your own way of channeling energies. Whether this is going to be astrology or it's going to be tarot, the pendulum, or scrying, well, that will depend on you. But one thing is sure, nobody can change or convert the mind of a witch. And last but not least, sign number 10. The sign that you're definitely a natural born witch. You never lose hope in life. And this is so connected to the sign about attracting children. Even though you might deal sometimes with your shadows and with darkness and like every other human beings with the low and the high of life, deep down inside, you are genuinely positive. And mind you for a sec, what does it mean to be genuinely positive? Is it like the law of attraction because you have to manifest things and you have to work spells? No, it is just that feeling of waking up in the morning and perhaps looking at nature and feeling like even though I'm in my lowest right now or in my highest, I'm going to be fine. You are an eternal hopeful person, and that is because you know that the universe and the world itself, it's much more than meets the eye. You see people believing so much in this illusion, and even though you respect the illusion, you just know that there is so much more. From the energies of the fairies that you are able to see for the most part, or the energies of the ocean and the dolphins, to the energy of your own cards and your own beings, and even to the law of attraction, you just know that if you're going to keep an eye on positivity and a hopeful mind, you're going to be able not only to move mountain, but to better this world. Yes, because at the end of the day, witches are not just selfish people who are doing spells for themselves. According to my tradition and according to what I believe, especially if you're a natural born witch, you are a compassionate being. You want to do work of service. And at the end of the day, you keep incarnating as a witch, not only because you were a witch in a past life, but because you want to see this world more aware. You want to see a better world, a world where we respect more animals, a world where nature is more respected, a world where we don't kill our own inner child, a world where people are working out of love and out of service and purpose rather than working for the buck. And that is why you're also such a rebellious spirit. Alright, you guys, this is my short videos on the 10 signs and the reason why you are a natural born witch. And I am so confident for the majority of you who have clicked on this video that you didn't even know to hear the signs. You just are a natural born witch and you're here to spread the awareness on this beautiful craft. Let me know in the comment section down below if you want more videos about witchcraft. I already done so many videos about spirituality in and of itself. I even explained how to use tarot, the scrying method. I need to do a video actually maybe on the pendulum, but it's on my e-course, and on my membership I constantly do videos about spells. But if you want to know more about the history of witchcraft, Italian witchcraft, stregoneria, the difference of witchcraft throughout the world, and Wicca, which is the type of witchcraft that I've been practicing since I was 8 years old, just let me know that, guys, in the comment section down below.